Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Seahawk Talk here on Salve Athletics. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, through Periscope. I am Andrew Pizzelli. We're live every day, 3 to 4 p.m. here on Seahawk Talk. Great show lined up for you here today. We've got Kevin Gilmartin, our head football coach, and Sebastian Nordsey, our women's volleyball coach, on the docket for you here today. We're going to get to our producers in just a second. But first, let's remind everybody to keep your distance with the shake.
Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity. Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity. Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity. Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity.
That is Ed Habershaw giving his rendition there of the Shake, Rhode Island-based band with a great song, Keep Your Distance, perfect for the times. Once again, I'm Andrew Pizzelli, hosting Seahawk Talk here today, load management on the Seahawk Talk program. I'd like to bring in now our producers, Mike DeFusco and Joey Morelli. Fellas, how we doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good, yeah.
And Mike, let's lead off with you. You wanted to talk about the U.S. Open, and I think we got some highlights, and then we can get into the leaderboard a little bit. But go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, big highlight from the first round. So Patrick Reed, unknown to me until at least today, made a hole-in-one on I think it was the seventh hole. And I just want to show the clip because I mean hole-in-ones are just so cool to watch. I'm just gonna let the video speak for itself here. So yeah, if you want to go to that, I'll hit play on it.
Oh, on the one hop.
Yep. It was quite, yep, right there, seventh hole. You see he's one under now. And he's actually, if I'll go to the next screen, he is currently in second place below Justin Thomas. So I will stop that one. And then actually Roy McIlroy is also in the running right now. He is at 3 under, and I'll give you the full scope of it right here. $12.5 million purse, so definitely a lot on the line here, coming off the FedEx Cup a couple weeks ago. But yeah, that's pretty much the story I wanted to run with today. Just keep an eye on that. It's early in the tournament, so we'll see how that develops throughout the weekend.
I wanted to see where Tiger was in the standings. He's currently down, tied for 96th.
Oh wow, we're gonna have
three over. So he's got it. I mean, it's not impossible.
There he is.
There's been better. There's been comebacks before.
Let's hope.
But not where he wants to be, I'd assume, at this point now. I think personally, Tiger's one of those guys that whether or not he wins or not, he doesn't always have to win, but if he's in it, he's just a big draw for people to watch. If he's in contention, everybody's going to want to watch.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I'm just going to say he's great for ratings, like so good for golf. He's made it partly what it is. So, I'd be happy to see him. I'm a fan. Have
either of you guys ever hit a hole-in-one in your life?
No, and not in real golf. I don't understand how you do it. That's insane.
I want to say yes so bad, but no. Close.
They're so far away. Like, I can barely do it in mini golf. Like, I don't know how you do that.
I was gonna say I have hit them in mini golf, but not actually out on the course. I've come close. I go to Pinecrest. It's a little golf course out in Charlestown, and it's a short, like 80-yard par 3. And I was with former South Virginia baseball pitcher Josh Munson, and he can vouch for this. I came this close. It like bounced and rolled right past the pin. I ended up being 3 feet from it. Ooh. And then typical, I thought, well, at least I got the birdie in the bag, and then I like 3-putted it.
You choked it.
I was too hyped up from having almost hit the hole-in-one, and ended up being a double bogey. So that's how that goes.
Well, that's like the toughest thing to do in sports, up with throwing a no-hitter. I got to say that's difficult. High level of difficulty with that.
Yeah. Again, more things that probably we could get Sorella to talk about is the what's harder, the hole in one or the no hitter. Be interesting to see the odds statistically on that.
Yeah, we'll ask him that. That'd be a fun debate to have with him, I think.
If we have any mathematicians listening out there, please write into the show. You can comment on any of the live streams, and then if you're listening to it as the podcast, you can comment on that as too. We want to know statistically what's harder, hole in one.
You just have to
throwing a no hitter.
See how many no hitters there are and how many baseball games have ever been played, and then you need to see how many hole in ones there have been and how many times someone has ever swung a golf club.
That's going to be a tough
professional golf.
So maybe we can effort that in the background throughout today's program.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have that answer for you. Joey, did you have anything you wanted to add here at the outset?
Nothing really. I think a piece of funny news I saw earlier is at some point today, I guess Instagram was down for probably only like 30 minutes, and Twitter like freaked out. They it's trending. Twitter's or Instagram's down. What are we gonna do? And the memes are hilarious of all the people making fun of the people who were sad that Instagram is down. So if having a bad day, look at that. It's really funny.
I guess that speaks to just what some of us are stuck with is just scrolling. That's all we have to do today is just scroll. Why won't it refresh? What's wrong? I can't hate like other people's vacation photos now.
Well, Twitter must have been happy about that. I'm sure Facebook was as well. I don't think we go through Instagram anyway, so we're not affected.
No, the SeahawkTalk is not affected by Instagram being down. And if Instagram is down and you've come to Twitter and found us, stick around for a little bit. I did want to hit on an interesting thing. We've had with COVID a lot of across all divisions and conferences, people either canceling seasons or postponing till spring. It's honestly kind of been a hodgepodge throughout the sports world, especially in college. And the Big Ten football, their conference had initially decided at the outset they were going to be one of the bigger schools that said, nope, we're shutting it down. We're treating the students like the student athletes like the regular students, and if it's not safe for them, it's not safe for the players. And I think maybe they kind of expected a lot of other people just to follow suit. A lot of the bigger conferences have not and are soldiering on and trying to play. And the Big Ten reversed their decision yesterday. And this is an opinion, and I know we're going to be speaking with our head football coach, Kevin Gilmartin, shortly. And throughout his conversation, we'll get his opinions on this. But this was an opinion from USA Today. Big Ten's decision to play football signals darkest day in conference's sports history. And we'll just read the beginning of this. For decades, the Big Ten has thought of itself as a different kind of sports conference, one that proudly touts the academic achievements and Great Lakes values of its like-minded, highly regarded, internationally ranked research institutions. The Big Ten wasn't the SEC. It wasn't the Big 12. It was better than that, and it was happy to tell you about it. As proof, only one had to look at the conference's prudent August decision to shut down fall sports in the midst of the global pandemic. It was only natural that the Big Ten would follow the Ivy League and that the Pac-12 would follow the Big Ten. It was a tough decision, heartbreaking, and costly, but it was the right one. That's the Big Ten for you, concerned about science, medicine, and safety. Let the football factories like the SEC, Big 12, and ACC continue playing. The Big Ten was doing the right thing about looking out for its student athletes, treating them almost no differently than the student body at large, and that was all that mattered. Then came Wednesday's decision, the darkest day in Big Ten sports history, the day the vaunted conference caved, it choked, it got scared, it became the SEC. That is, talk about shots fired.
Yeah.
That's a pretty heavy.
Loaded opinion, yeah.
A very loaded opinion. And maybe we don't have to get into exact specifics, but we know, I think there's been darker days in the Big Ten with off the field issues. Mm-hmm. We'll just maybe leave it at that. But I think, I don't know, is it right to rake, to kind of pull them over the coals? We've talked about maybe is the decision for some of these big conferences, the football factors. It's different here at D3 because these guys, you're playing for the love of the game. It truly is the student athlete experience. At the D1, we know a little more money involved, and that's some of the reasoning. Should they get kind of pulled over the coals for quote unquote caving to that pressure to play and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's just the lack of that definitive decision right off the bat, just being like, this is what we're going to do, and we're not going to turn our backs on that. And I think that's what they're mostly getting the heat for, because, I mean, the guidelines they've outlined are not, they seem to be wanting to do it safe, but I think it's definitely not the darkest day. Let's say that. I think the article is a bit, sensationalized as a column usually is, but it's not. It's definitely they do deserve some of this backlash, I think.
Yeah, it's about. Yeah, go ahead, Joey.
I'm thinking like I think part of it is like them flip flopping on it. Like they definitely deserve like a little bit of like heat for it, but you can't be like it's the worst that it's ever been. And it's like it's 2020. Everything is awful. This is like bottom of the chart of like awful things that have happened. Like I think they just want to be like everything in 2020 is awful. They flipped, therefore this is awful, and they're making it a big thing.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I think it's more about the fact that you made a strong decision. You should just stick with it, and then by flip flopping, you kind of just it makes it look bad.
It's transparent.
It is good for those athletes who are going to get a chance to play and compete, and for guys at that level, a lot of it is. Livelihoods are on the line. A lot of these guys have a chance to get drafted to go to the NFL and earn a living, maybe that they're not earning right now, that they have the potential to make. So a lot of interesting storylines there, and we'll have a chance to talk with Kevin Gilmartin about it. But guys, thank you. We'll come back to you guys at the end of the show and get our opinions on our wrap up there. But great stuff to lead off.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, those are our producers, Mike DeFusco and Joey Morelli, and we'd like to bring into the program now our head football coach, Kevin Gilmartin. Kevin, is that Mountain Dew? You got some Mountain Dew there? Oh yeah, yep. All I had to see was the green cap, and I knew.
Can we get an advertisement going? Can we get like a commercial endorsement or something?
Well, again, this is like the second time Ed brought in. I think it was Sun Chips last time, or Wheat Thins. We had to say like #not sponsored. Maybe this can be the Kevin Gilmartin segment brought to you by Mountain Dew. We'll reach out to their people and see what we can get.
All right, even if they just give me a lifetime supply of Mountain Dew, I think they don't realize how much that would cost them. But
do you want to contact your doctor first before that? I'm not sure that would be advisable. Is that in health and safety protocols? Lifetime supply of Mountain Dew? I don't know.
That's why we do the pictures from here up. Because
headshot. Well, Kevin, I think because it's so fresh, we were just talking about it. We were talking about the Big Ten, their decision. We kind of were all in agreement. Is more about the fact that you made a decision and then you flip flopped and went back the other way. I definitely don't think it's the darkest day in Big Ten conference history by a long shot. A little bit of sensationalizing there, but your impressions, as a football coach, somebody this is something that's pertinent to you about the Big Ten kind of reversing field here and going to play.
Well, I like the fact that they flip-flopped. I'll disagree with you guys on that, but because now they're playing football. I felt that when they first made the decision, I thought it was early because I think the biggest thing with COVID is people don't know all the information. We still don't know all the information. I think it's still nobody knows what's going on. Every day, you're hearing different information. Fauci says this, World Health Organization says this. Every day it's constantly changing. So I thought they made the decision too early, and now that they're looking at other teams are playing, other colleges are playing, high schools are playing. Utah's 4 weeks into high school football, and there hasn't been any tremendous spikes or anything like that. So it's safe. Personally, I think it's better for the players to have an opportunity to go out there and play. I think when you give college students more free time, they're gonna be downtown and they're gonna see more people. When they're on the practice field, it's a controlled group, and so they're not gonna be spreading within the town and everything. It's just within the group, and as long as the group's safe and healthy, I think that they'll continue to be safe and healthy, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I think the NCAA did the right thing in the fact that they said anyone that wants to opt out, they can, and they can hold their scholarships. And so the only people that are playing are people that want to play. Some people, in the Division I world are doing it to, make the next step to the professional level. But then there's other players that are just playing for the love of the game. That's what most of our Division III players are just want to play because they love the game. They love that opportunity. I think one of the saddest things about 2020 is we're not living. We're in hiding. And if there's an opportunity for us to start living again, to be happy and have fun, then let's do it, because as long as we're safe and able to keep living, let's get out there and go do it. Because I think one of the things is mental health across the board. How many people are aren't as happy anymore right now because of all the things that are going on, and you hear of sad stories because of that. But if we're able to get back to a normal where we can start living again, then I'm all for it. And one of the normals in my world is playing football. I love watching it. I love being a part of it, and I'm glad more people are able to do it. So I'm excited about that. And then you find out that I think 26 high school. There's 26 states out there right now that are playing high school football, and then there's 5 more that are going to be opening up too. So 31, states are playing high school football this year, and then the rest are playing in the spring. So, I think Big Ten looked at it and said, let's get out there and do what everybody else is doing. So I'm on board with it. I'm glad more people are able to play.
So just all that means with the high schools playing in different areas, your recruiting trips change. Are you still taking your trip to Hawaii this year to do some recruiting?
Yeah. They're not playing. They're one of the states that aren't playing. There's no. That's one of the tougher things, is that on camp, we're not visiting high schools, or because you're worried about the spread of everything. And even if a coach would want you to come in and talk football with them, you're worried about just another touch that's going to have to work on contact tracing and all this other stuff. So that part is definitely a different beast. And so I'm not able to go to Hawaii and watch the games this year.
Does selfishly, from a Salve perspective, does it help that the D1s are playing now, and all the kinks of, hey, they're going to get to see it's possible, you guys get to wait, get ready, and hopefully play in the spring? Does it kind of help that they're the guinea pig here in the fall for you guys?
Yeah, because they're like you said, they're the guinea pigs, and they're getting it done, and at the same time they got a lot of money to correct any mistakes, to make sure it's safe and everything. And so that's great that they're able, and they have a lot of people that are watching it, not just the people within each university, but a lot of fans out there that are involved with it. And so they're keeping a heavy eye on it. Some people are looking at it and saying, are they setting them up for failure? And then there's other people that are hoping that it succeeds. And so there's so many people looking to comment and criticize. So because of that, they got to do it squeaky clean. And so it's great. So if anyone makes a mistake, we'll learn about it and then make sure we don't follow that suit. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to learn from.
Yeah. Now you kind of touched on there when we were joking about going to Hawaii and stuff, the recruiting aspect. We've talked about being able to get out is different. What about being able to bring people on campus? I'm sure that's going to be a difficult, scenario as well, with the restrictions and everything is in place. How is the on-campus recruiting? Because that's the biggest component for a kid. I know I didn't make my decision where I was going until I went to a campus and just felt like, okay, this is the place. How is that changing? What are the difficulties going to be with that in the fall?
One of the things that I've always said about Salve is, when I first drove over the bridge and I looked at the island, I was like, how can I not want this job just to live here? And so the recruits still have that opportunity to look at the campus and the and the island and the beaches and the cliffs and the beauty of Aquidneck Island and Salve Regina and all this stuff. And so they still have an opportunity to look at that. But what I say is that that's what brought me here. But then it's the people that keep me here, because it's an outstanding people that are involved with Salve and Salve football and the Salve football family. And so, that's one of the things that they're not able to get to experience, because, they'd come for a visit. They'd walk around campus. They'd meet players. They'd meet the coaches. They meet a bunch of people, but because of COVID, you can't, meet the players, or, you can't, you're worried about that contact tracing once again. And so, not being able to get a feel of the culture and chemistry of the team, it's definitely a different process, because, you don't get to see the whole thing. And so, there's going to have to be a little bit more leaps of faith within the recruiting, but you want them to try to, get a feel of everything. So you take them around, you walk them around the campus, but they're just not going into the buildings and meeting the people and talking with them, and spending a lot of time with them. And so it's definitely difficult, but at the same time, I think a lot of the people that have a little more free time, because they don't have they're not playing seasons right now in a lot of the states in the Northeast. So they have a little more free time, so that they're able to, ask some more questions on the phone, on text messages, on Zoom meetings, and so they can ask more questions, but it's just tougher to get on campus and meet more people.
Yeah. Now, luckily, we have Topa Field is right around the corner from campus. Are you guys still able to bring any recruits there to show them, hey, look, our home field right here, right near campus?
Now the Topa's still beautiful. They drive right by it. They see the 12-foot high stone walls, and then they see the stands that were built in 1936. I mean, you drive by that, and you definitely get that feeling. Then you look at how big and how massive it is. It's bigger than a football field. I mean, because the size of the turf field is not only does it fit a football field, but it also has 2 softball fields and the entire thing is turfed. And so absolutely, people drive right by, and they drive behind it. And right next to it is the Tennis Hall of Fame, which makes it feel like that's part of the whole complex too. So it's actually a visual, where it's even more enhanced just by seeing it. So it's one of those things that it's a beautiful facility, but it looks even better, when you're there in person and you see the whole thing.
Yeah, you talked about it. The scenery was the reason you come, but it's the people the reason you stay. Some of the amazing people you get to meet and work with. And coach, one of them being Jason Dwight, who I know you wanted to bring up. I believe you said join the Marines in January. I have so many questions. Talk about that. I mean, deciding to do that, is he returning? Is he going to be playing for you? Is he going to play a spring season and then see a coach, enlist, and I'm being deployed? I have so many questions. An amazing decision on his part to want to serve our country. I'll just let you go on and say as much as you want about Jason.
Yeah, he came into my office last fall and told me he wanted to serve, he wanted to join the Marines, and I was so proud of him. Especially nowadays with everybody. I mean, there's so many things wrong with America. Which is true. I mean, we all have our weaknesses, all of that part about it. But at the same time, I mean, we as people have weaknesses. We as a country have weaknesses. But at the same time, I've always believed it's the best country in the world, and I'm so proud of it. And I think the younger generation were always nervous that they're just hearing all these negative things about the country, and so who's going to be willing to step up and defend our country? And the fact that he walked into my office and asked it, I was blown away. He's like, "Do you think I can do this? Do you think we can swing this?" And I was like, "Absolutely. I'll work with you any which way you want to do it." And so what he said was he'd like to, and this is what he ended up doing was he enlisted. He went down, in January. He took the spring semester off. He went down to Paris Island. Went through boot camp and everything. Then he got stationed in Texas. So he went through the whole thing over, from this during COVID through the summer, while the rest of us were sitting on couches and recliners, we gaining 30 pounds and losing 30 pounds, doing what we're doing. He was out working for the country and getting himself to become a Marine, which was an outstanding. He actually just finished his deployment 2 days ago and then flew back from Texas yesterday and, came right here and he walked into my office. And it was pretty cool. He walked in and he stood in front of my desk and he stood upright and he, had his hands, positioned behind his back, probably pretty much basically exactly like that picture. And I was looking at him, and I was so happy to see him, but we had a social distance, so I couldn't get up and give him a hug or anything, because I was so happy and everything. But at the same time, he's like, I'm back, I'm registered for classes. And, he just missed the first couple of days. So he's got some back work to do and everything. But at the same time, he told me, how difficult it was and how hard it was. But at the same time, what he learned, and how much he developed as a person. And, now he's like, to be honest, I think, being a student, it's going to be a lot easier for me because I'm ready to go. I know how to control my time and work for things. And just even the way he was just standing there, he just looked like a much more confident, mature man. And, I knew he was going to be successful. So he's part of the Marine Reserves right now. And he could get called up at any point in time and be sent off, and that might happen. But at the same time, if it doesn't happen, he'll have to go a couple of weekends, in the year. But he's going to be here a student this fall. He's going to be practicing with us. He's going to play in the spring. He's going to play next fall. He's going to graduate next year. And so, he's going to be able to make all that back up. But what a great story that somebody's doing this, especially during this time and this crazy year, to have something as positive as this happen, I couldn't be prouder that my name is connected next to his at this point in time. And so I just wanted to make sure everybody knew this story.
Unbelievable story. I would say, I'm sure it's a whirlwind for him right now, but definitely would love to have him come on the program. Once he's settled after all that, once he gets settled down, would love to have him come on, because that is, like you said, so much respect for somebody who is willing to put, in a time like this. Yeah, it's like with a lot of those things. Somebody who just has a calling for it, and so to hear that call and to answer that call. Absolutely, absolutely amazing for him, and
so proud.
a lot of respect. Yeah, yeah. Kind of to change gears, kind of here at the end. Sticking with football, we did get the NFL last week. Week 1, baby, is in the books. Your impressions from week 1 of the professional football world?
Well, I mean, we're in the New England area. The first thing that comes to mind is Cam Newton and Tom Brady. And I think that's what everybody was talking about. Everybody was leading up to that and everything. And Cam got the win and Tom didn't. So that's the first thing that jumps out. And then obviously, you go down to Arizona and how explosive the quarterback was down there. I mean, he looked awesome. I mean, he's on a tear. And then you go up to Seattle. Russell Wilson was 31 for 35 completions for attempts. I mean, I heard one of the talking heads on sports radio talking about saying, it's his MVP to lose already. And I was like, wow, what a start. And this is the first year I really watched the start. And so I was loving it. I couldn't be any more excited. And then we got a game tonight. We got Cleveland and Cincinnati going. And so you got 2 young quarterbacks. One didn't have a very good game this past week, and one had a very good game. But the one is gonna, hopefully he can rebound, and hopefully it'll be a good game tonight. But we shall see.
Now, Kevin, you said you couched that by saying we're in the New England area and what New England people were focused on. But who is your team? Who do you root for?
I'm a Giants fan. I bleed blue. My dad was in New York. He born and raised in New York. He actually had Giants tickets when they were in the Polo Grounds. And then when they moved out to Giant Stadium, the first Giant Stadium, that's when he stopped going to games. He probably had, him and his buddies had 4 tickets, so they'd always go. But they were just starting to have kids at that time, so they were getting a little older, and the tickets got a little more expensive. And so he stopped coming as a season ticket holder at that point in time. But I'm still a Giant fan, so I went through the Rob Carpenter days, But then we got into the Bill Parcells, Joe Morris. We had a little defensive coordinator by the name of Bill Belichick that helped us as well.
Some guy.
Yeah. But no, I've been a Giants fan. My college jersey was number 11 because that was Phil Simms. But my hero was Phil McConkey because he was a tenacious punt returner and wide receiver. So now I can talk Giants football all day.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts then on the beginning of the Joe Judge era? Do you like Joe Judge as a head coach there? I mean, you're 0-1.
Right.
But no panic.
He's got work to do, but I think their offensive line still has some work to do. I think the fact that Saquon Barkley, I don't know what his stat line was, but I think he averaged like 0.4 yards per carry. That's not good when you have somebody that talented.
You want that decimal point in another area there.
Yeah, 4 point something would have been a lot better. I mean, so they gotta get that offensive line in gear. I mean, the football is won in the trenches. So many times people have said that. And they got to get their offensive line together. But I can't blame him for that. That was been a problem for the last couple of years. So they got to get their offensive line together and moving forward. So I'm excited to see what he does. I've liked the things that he said, on the radio and everything. But hopefully he can improve and get it done.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, thanks for coming on. Great stuff here today. Always awesome to talk with you, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Andrew. You guys enjoyed as well.
All right. That's Kevin Gilmartin, Sal Regina football head coach. We're going to take a very short break and be right back with Sebastian Nordzi of our women's volleyball team. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Seahawk Talk. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. We just spoke with head coach Kevin Gilmartin of our football team, and we'd like to bring into the program now Sebastian Nordzi of our women's volleyball team. Seabass, how you doing here today?
I'm doing well, Paz. How are you?
Doing awesome. You wanted to talk about, we talked about you finally got the team back on campus, got to start some meetings. You said you guys did speed dating this week. Tell me about what that is. I assume that's kind of a really good, quick, let's get to know each other type of thing. What was that all about?
Yeah, so almost every year we have a preseason where we're one of the few teams on campus, and we have a lot of time just to spend with the team, with each other. This year, obviously, we didn't get a chance to do that. All the players just kind of got thrown in with the rest of the student body. So I thought it was very important to get them interacting with each other in some way. So what I actually heard from a different coach is they did speed dating on Zoom. And on Zoom, you can use breakout rooms where you can assign different players into a room, put them into this room, and then they can spend X amount of time talking to each other. So that's exactly what we did. I made a whole entire spreadsheet just to make sure no one got doubled up. Every player got to talk with everyone for 4 minutes,
Wow.
Short enough so it's like quick hits and we can get this thing going, but enough time to get the conversation going without making it super awkward, right? We don't want dead time in this mix. So it was quick. It was fast. All the girls loved it. And it was actually wicked funny because some of the girls live with each other. So when they had their 4 minutes together, you would see them sprint up to their rooms or whatever. And then when the 4 minutes were up and everyone got put together in the main room again, they were like sitting next to each other on a bed or something. So it was great. It was awesome. The girls loved doing it. There were a lot of laughs and smiles throughout the whole entire thing. And you can tell that it just gave the girls a little more personal connection with each other because we had another team meeting a little bit later, like a few days later, outside under the Newport sunset, which was awesome. And you could just tell the chatter was just a little bit more this time, which I welcome that. As long as it's not distracting, I love a team that feels comfortable talking to each other.
Yeah. Now, how did that idea come about? Is that something that came up through discussion with other coaches or something you saw online? How did the idea for the speed dating Zoom call come about?
So I was listening to a volleyball podcast, and I believe it was the BYU coach. She mentioned something about doing speed dating or something through Zoom like that. And so as I was planning out different types of meetings, I was like, oh, well, what I really want to do is this personal connection thing because of the preseason not being there. And then whatever light bulb hit me, and I was like, all right, that's what we're going to do. And it only took an hour and 20 minutes to have 16 conversations with each other. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Did they get like a set of questions to start with, like what kind of music do you like? What's your favorite ice cream? Or was it just thrown to the wolves? You guys figure out a way to talk to each other?
Yeah, it was very much thrown to the wolves. I thought about having like just startup questions, but I figured no one's gonna sit with each other for 4 minutes in awkward silence. So throw it in their fire, go figure it out, and that's part of getting to learn about someone. Just having that awkward silence, having those like little uncomfortable moments and be like, so what do you like to do? And then get the conversation going somehow.
Yeah. And you mentioned there being able to go outside, kind of have a meeting under the sunset. How awesome is it to be able to have an area like we have with Salve and Newport to be able to take advantage of those beautiful outdoor spaces, something not every institution has?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. We had it right outside Rogers with a big wide open field with the sunset going over the tree line. We were just kind of looking over to a whiteboard because it was kind of sloped, a little amphitheater style. And as we were writing our goals and doing all this other stuff, we just had that vision of the sunset, which was awesome. And we have so many awesome locations like that in Newport. Like maybe I'll take them to the beach one day.
Yeah. Now, those are all the fun things. The work is practice. And you told me it's been 321 days since the team was last on the practice floor. That is just remarkable to think about. Because even when you're not in season, there's just so much work you can be doing on a court that would normally happen in the spring. That didn't happen because we all got sent home early for the summer. How is the preparation going for that? For like, okay, this is real. We're actually getting on a floor and being able to do things. One of the few sports that's going to be inside too. So I'm sure there's a lot of considerations with preparing for that.
Yeah, it's been exciting for me for sure because I finally get to be with the team playing. And a lot of the girls are super excited too. Like when I threw out that stat that it's been 300 something days, they were like, oh my God, you're right. Yeah, we didn't practice until the end of the season. Like we lost in the semifinal of the CCC, didn't really practice with the coach since, I'm assuming. So the prep on my end has been, exciting to have. I love having my graph paper and drawing out drills to do and trying to figure out within the parameters that I'm given what we can do to get the best practice possible. If it's we can't have people more than 6 feet from each other, all right, what types of drills can we do to get better to have that happen? If it's something like we can only use one ball per person or set limit of balls or we got to sanitize them, all right, how can I fit that within the constraints of that protocol to get the team going in a good direction? So it's been fun for me. It's been different for me. I'm sure the girls are just excited to get back in the gym, using their platform in their hands and spiking some balls, because we can absolutely spike some balls by ourselves without any worries about COVID protocols. And nothing feels better as a stress reliever than ripping at some balls every now and then, ripping and serving.
I always imagine, like, I'm a big basketball guy. Like, what it would feel like just dunking must feel so good. Is that the equivalent? Is the big kill? Is that the equivalent to stress relief?
Yeah, that same like just violent motion. Like you're really putting some power behind it, and you get that clean hand contact, and you come down. You're just smiling. You're like, all right, I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah. Now you mentioned how you got the idea for the speed dating from a podcast. How many of those resources have you used to maybe find creative ways to do practice? Are you a part of any coaches networks or forums, discussions? I'm sure there has to be a lot of sharing of information right now to try and figure out ways to do things. Have you found anything else creative on those avenues?
Yeah, so not so much on the podcasts and forums or whatever, but I've been in contact with a bunch of coaches, just trying to figure out what they're doing, what they can and can't do, asking them questions, because I have a lot of smart friends in this industry, and I'm not afraid to ask them the questions that need to be asked. Because me being so young, why not use these resources to my advantage as much as possible?
Yeah, exactly. It's like kind of the situation where, you don't want to be the guy with the boat. You want to have the friend who has the boat, and you just show up, high five. Hey, man, let's go out in the boat. Hey, you've been doing this for 30 years. I'm going to ask you what you're doing, because you probably have answers that I haven't even thought of questions for yet.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. My dad's sailing has been brought up on Seahawk Talk many, many times, but he constantly says that. He's always like, why would I throw money at my own boat when I get invited to other people's boats all the time? The same thing. Like, hey, how can we make this work? Give me the information so I don't need to recreate the wheel.
Yeah. Now, we had talked a little bit about, and we talked with Kevin about football. Obviously, football and NBA are the big professional sports still going right now. Are you a Boston sports fan? You're from around here, but just because Kevin's around here, but he's a Giants fan. So are you a Boston sports guy?
Yeah, I was shocked when I heard that Kevin was a Giants fan. Me being such a diehard Patriots fan, I hear that and I'm like, are you sure the Giants? Can it be like any other team?
At least it's not the Jets,
That is true.
Giants have some respect.
Although I do kind of root for the Jets a little bit because their quarterback, Sam Darnold, I went to college with his sister.
Really?
His sister played URI volleyball. And so me being on the men's team, her being on the women's team, we had plenty of interactions with each other. So she always talked about her younger brother, oh, he's a quarterback at, this school. Oh, cool. What school? USC. All right. That's significant.
Oh, that's too funny. That's an interesting connection. I mean, so again, it kind of comes back to the boat analogy about knowing people thing. Did he get drafted in the NFL? It's like, oh, hey, remember we were friends, like tickets to a game sometime?
Oh, I wish. Oh my God, that would have been funny. But I'm very close friends with the old URI volleyball coaches. They turned over the staff recently. but they were just talking about how they went to a Jets game, I believe it's Jets Patriots, and they were able to get closer by. They were to talk to Sam Darnold a little bit because it's like, hey, I coached Frankie for 4 years. So I wish I could say that if I ever go to a Jets game and he's close by, I'm definitely going to throw her name out and just give him a wave.
That's awesome. So you are a New England fan. What did you think this weekend of the Cam Newton experience, starting 1-0 for the New England Patriots?
I really like it. I'm not as big as like Kevin. Coach Kevin is a great football knowledge base. Obviously, I'm not that big into football or don't have that much knowledge into it. But I thought it just brings a totally different look than what we've been used to. Me personally, I only know Tom Brady as a quarterback. When I started watching football was actually when Drew Bledsoe went down. So Tom Brady has always been my quarterback. He's always been the guy. But it was refreshing to see Cam Newton do some things that Tom Brady couldn't. There was wide open field everywhere, and Cam Newton was able to run for a first down. It didn't look like someone was running through quicksand.
Yeah, it was not molasses coming out of the backfield. I saw the advanced metric that on his first touchdown run, his second touchdown run, that he reached 19 miles an hour peak speed, going to the end zone. I don't think Tom Brady has moved 19 miles an hour without the assist of some sort of motor in his life. So,
and the same difference. Fact, Cam Newton rushed for however many yards. That's probably a season's worth for Tom Brady.
Yeah, no, he rushed for 76 yards. It was the first time since Steve Grogan rushed for 70-something in his rookie year, 1974. And he was a tremendous running quarterback way back when. I wasn't even alive then, but I know
we're close.
for the Patriots. So you're right. It's a different look. I think if it had been like a rookie quarterback or Jared Stidham or somebody for the Patriots, it kind of would have been, okay, it is what it is. We're rebuilding. I think Cam Newton brings that excitement now. There's an added excitement about the team because it's like, oh my God, this could be fun. It's going to be. Hopefully, if he stays healthy, I think it'll be a very fun year.
And he brings such a maturity to the team too. If you have a Jared Stidham in there, maybe he goes in and he has all this pressure following Tom Brady. You follow the greatest of all time. There's a lot of pressure of you. Cam Newton's been there before. He's got MVPs. He knows his skill set. He just Tom's not worrying about me, so I'm really not going to worry about him right now.
Yeah. Now, kind of along that lines of a team that's going to be fun to watch. A year ago, the Boston Celtics were not a fun team to watch because of one guy, that is being Kyrie Irving. And the team, it was just like you could tell they were just on a trajectory to flame out in the second round, which is what happened. They retool, they lose Al Horford and Kyrie, they get Kemba Walker, and everybody says, you know what? The ceiling for this team might not be much higher, but guess what? They're going to be a lot more fun to watch, a lovable team. Well, now here they find themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think exceeding expectations, but now that they're here, it's like, well, now we want it. We're here, so why not win? Your thoughts on the Celtics, who are down 0-1, but play again tonight?
Yeah, so that Heat game one, that was such a back and forth match. I was watching the highlights earlier just to refresh my memory, and it was just so back and forth. Miami would hit a three, then Celtics would respond, and it was just constantly back and forth, back and forth. And even down to the last block, that was such a huge block for Miami, and it could have gone either way, realistically. So it's just two evenly matched teams just going at it in the bubble. And we've seen throughout the bubble that pretty much anything can happen. There's no real home court advantage.
Yep.
Everything looks just a little bit different in there. So for them to get that far, that's awesome. And they know they can match up with the Miami Heat. So it's just doing it in a series.
Yep. Now, I want to see, I've said right along that an important element for the Celtics, if they really want to win a championship this year, is the health of Gordon Hayward. Now, they said he was doubtful. I want to see if there's been an update on this coming into the show, and they still haven't said yet. So Gordon Hayward, chance he could play tonight. How much of a boost does that give a team at all levels when you have a star player who's out and then is suddenly injected into a lineup in a big game? I think that's something you can apply across all sports. Have you ever experienced something like that, either as a coach or as a player, where you had a teammate or a player who was out coming back in, and what kind of life that can inject into a team?
It's so refreshing, especially at a top player. You get that player. We had to use volleyball as an example. Top outside hitter goes down with an injury. They do the rehab properly, and they come back. Now you have someone you can rely on in serve receive, defense, putting away, out of system sets, all these different things. It's just one less thing you got to worry about because you know that this star player is going to take care of their job. So that's with the Gordon Hayward example. I'm excited for him to get back whenever that is, just so he can provide that little relief for some of these other players. Now it's not all Tatum. Now it's not all Jaylen Brown. Now it's not all Kemba Walker. It's a mixture of them. He takes a little pressure off of these other athletes to perform their jobs.
Yeah. While we're on the NBA note, question for the listening audience: what do Sebastian Nordzi and Michael Jordan have in common? The answer is they were both cut in high school from their teams. What? That's a little mind blowing. Like, how do you like text your high school coach now? Like, I'm a head coach at college. What do you think now? Did you like rejoin the same team? Did you transfer schools? Like, how that's just an amazing thing to think. You wouldn't think that somebody who was successful as a player and then as a coach would have been cut in high school. Did you come back to the same high school? Like, talk about that. That's insane.
Yeah, so it's actually funny. I'm pretty good friends with my high school coach now. So anytime I could bring that up, I absolutely bring that up. I'm like, hey, remember that time? Remember freshman year? I don't. But yeah, so when I was a freshman in high school, I hadn't hit a growth spurt. So I was this 5'9", 5'10" freshman. I was pretty skinny back then, still kind of am. But I was on the bubble of making the team and getting cut. But instantly during tryouts, I caught the volleyball bug. Like, I just wanted to be a part of it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a great sport. Then I played a little club volleyball to just learn how to play volleyball better. Hit a growth spurt. I come in as a sophomore, as like a 6'1", 6'2" sophomore, a little taller, a little more physical. And then my high school coach was like, yeah, we can't cut this kid again. He's going to be something. So, yeah, then after that, it's been all volleyball all the time, and it's been really exciting. And who knows?
That's incredible, because just your opening statement there that, oh, you were this 5'9", 5'10" kid waiting for your growth spurt. Guess what? I was a 4'9" kid waiting for my growth spurt. I'm waiting for that next growth spurt. Is that coming down the pipe? Can I look forward to that, or is there no more hope?
I always say that if I had known I was going to be this size, I would have practiced my jump shot a little bit better, my dribbling a little bit more. I would have been playing basketball, making a little bit more money. I could have been in the bubble. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I think Kevin talked about being on campus and being around everybody. I miss you were starting to get into it as one of the guys who would come out. Kevin too. We would play noontime hoops. It was a great social bonding thing. You know, we get to do it with everybody on campus, involve people from other areas, playing some hoops during lunchtime hours. I gotta say, I haven't really touched a basketball since. I bet my jump shot and your jump shot are probably the exact same right now.
And my jump shot wasn't that great to begin with. So,
oh, man. Well, that's great. Sebastian, thank you for coming on today. Great stuff, as always. Good luck as you move into practice and everything with the team, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure, Pez.
All right, take it easy now. That's Sebastian Nordzi, head coach of our women's volleyball team. We'll take a quick break and be back to wrap up today's program with the producers. We'll be back. All right. Welcome back to Seahawk Talk. Andrew Pizzelli here, hosting Seahawk Talk here today. I'd like to bring our producers in now, Mike DeFusco and Joey Morelli. Gentlemen, we'll start first. Any impressions after today's guests from the show today? Any additional thoughts on what they brought to the table?
I liked Coach Gil Martin's little segment there. I like his opinion on the Big Ten. I do. I feel for him. It's such a big part of our lives. I know his life probably more than mine. I'm more of a baseball guy, he's a football guy, but and it's I was just thinking about that opinion article, and it's saying the football factories of like the SECs and ACCs, like the Big Ten's not a football factory. Like there's not Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and all these other schools. And to like kind of criticize those other conferences for their academics when the ACC has Duke and North Carolina, I think might be an overstep for that article. So I just wanted to bring that up. I was kind of thinking about that a little bit more,
Yeah. Anything, Joey?
I love hearing Coach Gil Martin and Coach Nordsey just talk we were able to fill so much time just talking to them. Like they have just such interesting points. I mean, all our guests do. I love hearing the coaches just talk about like stuff they're interested in. And I especially like Coach Gil Martin saying that he's a Giants fan. So I'm also a Giants fan by descendancy. My dad, for whatever reason, was a Giants fan growing up. So therefore I am as well. And
well, around here, the Patriots were terrible. The Patriots were not the Patriots until the last 20 years. And even when they had good seasons, it was one of those inevitable things. It was like, when's this going to go off the rails? It was like being a Red Sox fan for 86 years. It's like, it doesn't matter if things are good. Somehow, some way, it's going to go bad. So a lot of people around here are closet, or maybe a little more recently can be boisterous about it. But Giants fans, there's a lot of Dolphins fans because the Dolphins were good and Dan Marino was amazing. Not as many Jets fans, though they do exist. They're there.
My roommate is one.
And Bills Mafia has made a comeback. Bills fans have been a little louder recently. We'll see how many Patriots fans there are in like 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Once the bandwagoners all start to jump off and jump away.
No, that's because you got to remember, like especially because kids my age growing up in New England as I did, like everyone, because they were just always dominant. To me, the New England's been the best region in like sports since I've been growing up. So. Except for this year with the Red Sox, unfortunately. But I'm just going to share the screen really quick if you guys don't mind. We got Red Sox actually winning a game, so I'm going to throw that up there. Pretty impressive. They're up 5-3 against the Marlins.
And it's the top of the eighth.
Yeah, but it's against the Marlins.
Still, okay, yeah. Still, though, the Marlins are better than us. Look at that record. The Marlins are 25-22. But, yeah, no, I agree. It's something, though. It's some positive.
I don't want to also out myself as a Mets fan, but the Mets destroyed the Marlins a couple weeks ago as well. So Marlins clearly weren't doing so hot early on.
Well, I will say this about the Red Sox. They have exceeded my expectations for this year. I didn't think they were going to win any more than 17 games. So
really? Okay.
They've won 18. They've exceeded my expectations. I'll say that I have probably watched all of maybe 17 minutes of actual Red Sox coverage all year. But anyway, not focusing on the negative. Any additional stories outside of what our coaches had to bring up here today?
I was just saying this because you mentioned the Mets, Joey. The Mets actually hired a new GM recently. I'll get that name for you right now because he's been criticized for he was not Brody Van Wagen is the next Mets GM, and he has just been not really a baseball guy with a lot of money, but maybe he can just dump that into the team and they'll have some, counsel who can help him, turn that team around because they have good pieces.
Yeah, I think I remember my dad telling me that, and I'm like, you're saying a name to me. I'm like, I'm not gonna remember the GM. I remember players. I'm bad with coaches and anybody who's not a player really. I'm just bad at remembering names.
And also, a lot of the coverage today is just about that Big Ten thing, and the Pac-12 follows suit. So I don't know. What do you think they're gonna try to jump in? I mean, they would have to make a move this week to make that playoff, college football playoff.
You got to do it soon because not only are you having to now be like, oh, I guess we got to provide protocols and set up all this stuff and have everything in line for it. if you do it right now while the Big Ten's getting all the flack, you can kind of just fly under the radar with them and get going.
Jump in the media cycle while this is all going on. We'll have no news next week, and then they'll do the move, and then we'll all just be like talking about that now. So
exactly,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, they got to make a move soon.
I was gonna say, so I did a little research during the show. The odds of hitting a hole-in-one are 12,000 to 1.
Okay.
Really difficult to predict the odds of throwing a no-hitter. I found a Reddit thread that has a lot of math. I don't have the time to focus on this right now. So maybe we should come back. But there was in general thing that there are about 2 no-hitters a year thrown. So I guess maybe we can start to extrapolate. That can be our project. Maybe we can
do some math.
We'll tease even further that we'll have a permanent answer on this topic by the end of the week.
And it's funny. It's funny you brought that back up because I was looking through news, and this is from a couple of days ago. It's from the 13th. But I guess one of our 2 no-hitters has already happened because Alec Mills of the Cubs pitched the 16th no-hitter in Cubs history on the 13th. So good for them, I guess. They're doing pretty good now. I remember when they were terrible. But,
I think both Chicago teams are doing well right now. I think the White Sox and the Cubs.
Yeah,
also,
the White Sox are coming along.
I was gonna mention it, but we kind of ran out of time at the very beginning. Both of our guests in our little chat, I think, agree that a no-hitter is harder because Coach Comarn goes, hole-in-one is 1 shot, no-hitters over 3 hours. And Coach Norty said, I've come within 2 feet of a hole-in-one, never came close to a no-hitter. So I think it's a pretty good opinion there for both of them.
Yeah. I mean, the closest any of us could come. I mean, hey, Mike, maybe someday you make the MLB as a pitcher somehow. Maybe you change positions. But so none of us, I could say with a lot of confidence, none of us are going to have the opportunity to throw a professional baseball no-hitter. But some wiffle ball action, if you know how to throw that thing, it can be deadly. Have you ever seen professional wiffle ball pitchers?
Yeah, and there's they all travel. They have like little pop-up fields, and they play. It's crazy. It's harder to hit that than a baseball at times.
Yeah, even think of it this way: all of us have the potential to hit a hole-in-one. None of us will ever throw a no-hitter against a professional team.
We can all go and golf whenever.
Let's see if I can share this tab right now. This is 100 nasty wiffle ball pitches. Some of these are crazy. Just the movement. I mean, Mike,
my God,
what would you do against this as a hitter?
Nothing.
Cry.
Nothing. You can't move.
Stand there and take it.
Yeah.
Look at the way he moves when he throws it too is crazy. Like his arms just turn into jello for a half second.
I think when I was in 4th grade going into 5th grade, I could not throw a baseball for a summer, and I think it's because I tried doing this for a good 2 months, and that looks like it's destroying your arm right there.
I'd love to see what Coach McKean would think of some of these arm motions. Like, oh no, if you did this with a real ball, you'd destroy your elbow.
Oh, you'd be dead. Because that that's less than a pound.
Or what the Rapsodo would think of these.
I wonder if I would pick it up.
I'll name drop again. I played wiffle ball with Munson and Dylan Jepson, and Jeppy tried to throw some eephus pitches like this with the wiffle ball, and he got us all on the first couple. But then we took him for what was called a gentleman's home run, as wiffle ball rules often go. But anyway, fun little thing to end the show there. Well, guys, another great show. Thanks for all the work you guys did on the background today, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow.
Awesome. Go Seahawks.
All right. That's Mike DeFusco and Joey Morelli for Ed Habershaw. I'm Andrew Zelli. Special thanks to our guests today, Kevin Gilmartin and Sebastian Nordsey. Great as always. Another day of Seahawk Talk is in the books. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up another week here at Sal Regina. Remember, we are live every day, 3 to 4 p.m. on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Periscope through Twitter. And if you can't catch the show live, you can catch us on the podcast, an audio version of the show put out every day after the show. So just subscribe to your favorite podcasting app. There's no excuse not to catch Seahawk Talk. Well, that'll do it for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch everybody tomorrow.